will happen. Suppose if you are acquiring a new company in the reporting year, and this company was existing, say your baseline year was 2020, and you have acquired this company in 2024, and this company was existing in 2020. So you have to take their emissions and include that in your baseline year. So say S101 has the emissions of 100 in year 2020, and the new company which they acquired is having emissions of 20 in the year 2020. So you will have your emissions baseline revised to 120 because you have acquired a new company, and it may affect your emissions from that perspective. And the threshold here is 20%. So that's why definitely we have to include. Then if your company is disinvesting a particular company in the reporting year, say a B company is now disinvested from a particular year, then you will have to readjust your baseline and subtracting B emissions from the baseline. So that is how the recalculating of structural change will happen from the inventory perspective. So this is an example of acquisition that in the baseline year 1, your emissions are from scope 1 to say 50. There is an increase in production in the second year and your emissions have become 60. In the third year, you have acquired say unit C or unit ABC in the reporting year 3. So what will happen? This facility has an additional emissions of 20 and you will add it in your reporting year. But because you have selected your baseline year as year 2021 or 1, which is indicated here, you have to go back and see what is the unit C's emissions in the base year and account it in your baseline year recalculation. So for example, here the emission inventory says that the C companies has an emissions of 15 in the year 1. Then you will have to add this in your baseline and your emissions will become 65 from the base year perspective. But there is always a challenge that you might not be able to get the data for the company for the year 1. So what usually you can do is that you can calculate from the revenue perspective in the current year, what is the scope 1 to emissions per unit of revenue, and then extrapolate with the same revenue in the base year and account for the emission in case the data is not available. And this is the challenge usually which happens if you acquire a new company, because if they're a small company, they might not be doing in GHG inventory. But if they're doing directly, you can use those numbers from the calculation perspective. And if there are in between the years, like in reporting and baseline, if there are many years, recalculations of the middle years are optional. Only your requirement is to do the base year recalculations. But if you still want to highlight that in the subsequent next 3-4 years, what is your emissions, you can still do that preceding the reporting years. So that is how usually the recalculations of acquisitions will happen in case you acquire a new facility.